Next presentation is from Alexander.
Alex.
Losha. Okay, sorry. Alex Kolesnik, and he's a software engineer working for Adobe. And today he's going to tell us why MFTF is not rocket science. So please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So he's tall presentation of myself, so I will go ahead and start talking about presentation. So that's me, guys. That's my photo from GitHub. If you see this somewhere in commits, that's me. So today, as you understand, we're going to talk about Magento functional testing framework, about some best practices, about changes we have in functional testing. So all of this will be about automated functional tests in Magento. So first of all, I wanted to ask a question. Who tried to run MFTF tests? Can you raise your hands? Okay, some of you did, some of you not. So I wanted to start with the thing when you start learning something or getting a new feature, you want to search it or Google it. So let me Google that for you guys. Let me find what we have about Magento functional testing. So we have Magento functional testing in Google, and you see a lot of pages. All of them goes to devdocs, magento.com, GitHub, etc. So that's good. But there is one small issue. Most of them are outdated. Most of these links, they are going to our previous functional testing framework, and unfortunately, that's what you will find in Google. And I got a lot of questions from community, hey, why I have this failure with MFTF? And I always see that this failure is coming from our old framework. So please, let me show you where you can find all of the recent documentation about MFTF. That's our DevDocs portal. And here, the second item under the testing section is going to be functional acceptance testing, or MFTF. That's the most recent framework, the most recent document about it you can find. So that's, if you want to start working on this, please go ahead and read it. So let's talk about future of functional tests in Magento. And you will ask me, why do I tell in the second slide about future of functional testing framework if you don't know about present? But the guys who was on my previous year presentation, they will see that this slide is coming from MageConf 2018. And this slide presents not the future. This shows you what currently we have with functional testing framework. So I wanted to tell you what we accomplished for this year and share with you. So most of our projects are currently in progress. So MTF to MFTF test conversion, we're working on this. We've got a good success in this project. We're also sharing the knowledge how to write MFTF tests to all extension developers. And we raising this on probably all of the Magento meetups that we will run MFTF tests against your extensions you submit on Marketplace. Also, we want to split into separate packages our MFTF tests. We want to cut all tests from Magento module and create a separate package with tests only. So that's also in progress. We have approved document by architects. We have a strategy how to accomplish this, and we're going forward step by step to do this. Improved navigation between test entities. That's something we didn't start working on. We want to build a PHP Storm plugin which will make test writing more easier for you and more natural. Because MFTF, maybe you know, is based on XML files only, and we want to build a tool which will give you a lot of suggests and documentation natively in PHP Storm. And of course, continuous documentation improvements. As I showed in a previous slide, that's the most recent document. We updated each MFTF release, and you will get, you will read. It's in a good shape, actually, so try it. So let me share with you what we achieved with MTF to MFTF test conversion project. So first of all, I want to show you that's our community contributors who work on this project. They did a great job on converting this test. So thank you very much, guys, who contributed into this project. So if someone wants to try working with MFTF, these guys are really good at this, and you can ask them questions as well, not only me. These guys create a lot of pull requests, and without help of these two guys, I wouldn't be able to merge this pull request. So Yaroslav Rogoza and Lukasz Bajzarovich, who is sitting right in front here, they helped me with doing code review. Both of them, they are masters at writing tests. They know how it works really well. This project lives about 6 months, not very long, and we already have more than 77 pull requests created. We closed or in progress more than 100 issues in our project, and we already converted more than 127 tests. So if you like to join us, please, the links to this project will be at the end of presentation. The other thing I wanted to talk more about MFTF test packaging. So the question, why separate packages? Why do we want to cut this test from Magenta modules? So the first state is we want to achieve a real true black box testing environment where we have Magenta instance on separate server and tests running on another machine. So it gives us possibility to test Magenta application as real users without interacting with the Magenta code at all. So we drive browser, see what's going on a page, and give feedback to our developers. So that's the first goal. Second goal is we want to be able to release our tests separately from Magenta code. So let's say we do 2.3.3 Magenta release, and we have some tech debt on coverage. We can release them day by day, those tests, saying that, hey, these tests are working with Magenta 2.3.3. These tests are also working with 2.3.3 release. So we want to make this more agile, and teams who works on test coverage, they are not highly coupled with core devs and release Magenta application release. And of course, the third part is we want to align with service isolation vision. So you probably have heard a lot about service isolation from our architects. We want to align, we want to build a separate testing service, as we call it, we will not use it on production, of course, but we will be able to set up this service on staging environment and run those tests. So that's our goal for MFTF test packaging. Also, I wanted to share roughly how it's going to work. I wanted to show you the example of composer.json for Magenta module catalog. So this module will be named as module catalog functional test at the end, and this module will be typed as Magenta 2 functional test module. So that's how we understand that this module is not an application code. This module is related to MFTF tests. We will require, in our require section, we will be dependent only on other functional test modules. So we will never require any of Magenta application code. We will never put here something like Magenta module catalog or Magenta inventory or something like that. This dependency is always gonna they always going to reference functional test modules or functional testing framework. And how to understand to which version of module we have coverage, we will put it into suggest block. This suggest block will solve for two purposes. First purpose, more notification for you that this module contains test coverage for Magento module catalog admin UI and Magento module catalog storefront UI. So you understand that this module catalog functional test package contains inside test coverage for two of these Magento modules. The other purpose of suggest, MFTF will read this suggest blocks. It will go to Magento API and ask what modules currently enabled in Magento application. Magento will give us a list of modules, and if two of these modules enabled, we will execute those tests. If one of this module is disabled, we will not generate and run those tests because it doesn't make sense to run the test, which will definitely fail. So that's the second purpose of this suggest block. Also, I wanted to share with you guys the good initiative from Tom Erskine, the first architect of MFTF. He started to create MFTF quick guides on YouTube channel. He already created 3 of them, actually. He released third video yesterday. So if you will go there, they are very, very good video documentation, as you can call it. So yeah, please go ahead and view them. They are very helpful, and I think they will help someone to start working with MFTF. The other very important thing I wanted to share, that we started to be a really true community project, true open source. We started to do our demo meetings publicly with the community. So if you will go to Magento announcements, community Slack channel, or MFTF Slack channel, you will see their messages like, hey guys, we're gonna do MFTF demo, please join us. And we will put all our recordings right over here. That's actually a great place for you if you want to understand where we go and what we want to do in future release, ask your questions, or tell us what you want to see in future releases of MFTF. And also, I am glad that we finally added our item in Magento technical guidelines. We working on this page every week. We have meetings with our team where we discuss what things should be in this Magento technical guidelines. We started with the simple ones, but day by day we add in more rules and more best practices we want to share. So if you write MFTF test, please go and read this document. This is very helpful. And also, we have several smaller things accomplished this year. We added support for Magento Venue theme, which is our Magento PWA project. So they also have MFTF tests. They run them, and they cover in their functionality day by day. So that was good for us. We also enabled XSD schema validation by default and fixed all failures in Magento. Before this, XSD validation were run only by specifying MFTF debug flag when you want to debug it, but we saw that not everyone does it when they develop a test, so we enabled this validation by default. Every time you do generate test or run test, we do XSD schema validation, and we also fixed all the issues in Magento code. We also added rerun functionality to MFTF, so basically you know that functional tests by nature, they are most unstable tests because we have a lot of variables when we run those tests. We have browser, we have Selenium, we have Magento application running, we have tests. So all of these pieces, they sometimes fail and they give us false negative results. So to eliminate some part of this fault negative results, we added run failed command. It will read latest logs. It will get the list of failed tests, and this command will rerun those tests 3 times. And if all of this, if 3 times this test still fails, then we say, okay, you have a problem with your Magento application, or you have a problem with the test. And also, we're working on improving our Allure reports. We added step key to our actions. We made action groups showing as collapsible panels, and we added request and response data to our create data actions. So if you contribute into Magento community projects, you probably know how Allure looks like, and that's what we added last week. So you will see something new in our Allure reports. And let me share with you my best practice, which I think very important for all of you guys and for Magento as well. We have a best practice. We want to write all tests with action groups only. Action groups, that's how to explain? That's a sequence of small autonomous actions placed into a single file, and you can reuse those sequence of actions in different tasks. So if you have, we have the most popular action group as login to Magento admin panel, and all the time you need to log into Magento admin panel. Previously, you had to write fill field username, fill field password, click sign in button, wait for page load, and you all the time you copy pasted these 4 steps. With action groups, we solved this problem, so you can just specify, please run this action group admin login page, and it will include all of these 4 steps for you. And also, use and extend Magento action groups, which we created. We've got plenty of them. On Magento Dev Docs page, we have a list of all action groups we have in Magento release with short description what this action group is doing. So that's a place where you can find if this action group is good for you or no. But why do we suggest to write tests only with action groups without using small actions in our tests? So first of all, it simplifies maintainability. Let's say if we will create a library of action groups and we will build our tests only with action groups, as I mentioned, login as admin, that's our most used action groups. If we will change our Magento behavior, user flow, let's say we will have 3rd field in our action group, you will not go to each test and fix this. You will go to one single place into this action group, and you will add this field, and all tests which uses it, they will have this new field. This also reduces duplication of code, so that's also good. Action groups are tested in lots of different scenarios, which makes them more stable. This is also true because, as I told you, functional tests are unstable by the nature. And when we created an action group, we use it in 3, 5, 10 tests. Those tests, if they fail, we go fix this action group, and this action group, by using in several tests, will be much more stable than just fixing one single place in each test. And also, it enhances extensibility of our test, and I will explain you why. So let's say we have a scenario we need to test this customer login form. I want to show you 3 examples. That's clean Magento installation. We have email, password, and sign-in button. Also, we can install CAPTCHA extension, which will add a new field here. And also we can install third extension, actually second extension, which will be two-factor authorization. So we will have two fields from Magento, one field from CAPTCHA extension, one field from 2FA extension. So let's see how existing Magento tasks will work at this situation. So that's a simple customer login task. I didn't include here any assertions because they will mess up. You will not be able to read it. But that's three actions. They are most important for this task. Let's say we field email, we field password, we click sign in button. And if on a clean Magento installation, we're good, test will pass, we will see our customer account page. But what will happen if we will run this task on Magento plus CAPTCHA extension? We will field two fields, we will click sign in button, and obviously we will fail because it will tell us that we have CAPTCHA field required. So how to solve this problem? Because all of the tests written in XML, we can extend our tests. So as you can see here, up on top we have Magento test, and down we have a piece which you need to write in your extension to extend Magento test. Here you can see that we want to fill field with step key fill CAPTCHA, and we want to put this step before sign in button. Specify some user input, some selector, and how it will work. It will go fill email field, it will go fill password, then the MFTF will read this name, it will understand that this belongs to this test, and it will put this fill field before clicking sign in button. So this field also will be fulfilled from your extension. We click sign in and we successfully logged in. So see an example if we have two extensions enabled. We have our Magento 2 test, we write CAPTCHA test extension, we write 2FA test extension, and our test is passing. These two extensions, they do not know each other, so we're good to go. But what we will do if 2FA has his own test, which go into login to customer account, and CAPTCHA will have his own test. And these two items, these two extensions, they shouldn't know about each other. They are two different vendors located under two different countries. So how to solve this problem? You can say, you can say, okay, I've got 2FA test, I've got CAPTCHA test. I can create two extensions. CAPTCHA will extend 2FA test, and 2FA extension will extend CAPTCHA test. But it breaks the idea that those two modules do not know about each other. So that's not how it works. That's what we cannot do with our test. So we cannot extend from extension another extension test. So how to solve this problem? Let's build our test with action group. Let's say we have same Magento test. We have Magento 2 action group, or it can be multiple action groups, but I will use one. This action group will do the same steps as you saw on previous test slide. An extension, it will actually extend not the test, but action group. And once we extended our action group, it will work the same. It will add this tab to action group, and because this test using this action group, it will get all of these tabs in the test. Same thing, CAPTCHA can do extension for action group, and the test will pass. Let's see an example, similar example with 2FA test or CAPTCHA test. as you see, we extended our action groups, Magento 2 test passing. What will happen with 2FA test and CAPTCHA test? If both of these tests will use Magento 2 action group, they will get all of the extensions from CAPTCHA and from 2FA. So 2FA test will ask Magento, can you give me an action group for fill-in customer form? And because 2FA and CAPTCHA extended action group, this test will get steps from this extension and from this extension. So without knowing about each other, they will get everything they needed to make those tests green, to make those tests pass. So please use action groups more often. We need to build a huge library of action groups, so ask any questions if you have. Let me share you our future projects. We want to build a new environment which will help you guys to write MFTF tests, to execute them on your local machine. So we have a huge epic to investigate it and build. So general idea, we want to build some container probably, which you will install on your local machine, and this container will have commands like run tests or generate them, debug, etc., etc., etc. And inside this container will have browser installed, Selenium installed with proper version, and it will have PHP for you installed, and it will execute all of these tasks inside this container. Also, we want to build code coverage measurements tool. We want to show what Magento modules what Magento modules we have good coverage and what Magento module needs some additional work on adding test coverage. And as I mentioned we are planning to work on PHP Storm plugin. So we want to make test writing more easier and simpler for you guys. Thank you very much. Here's QR code with useful links with projects we have, so please.
Thank you, Losha.